Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? How you doing? We are here by request of a Gundam Zeta Spotlight. This intro video is to give you some quick tips and guides, maybe some information that you may or may not know, maybe some hidden information that's not in the command list, which is what I always cover and focus on, but mostly just some quick information if you have not played Zeta, or if you've been playing Zeta and maybe you just don't know what's out there. So Zeta Gundam is a pretty cool Gundam that can transform into a ship. Is this our first transformation? I don't know. Gundam Zeta is a 500 cost Various S. So on death, Gundam Zeta will cost you or your team, depending on if you're playing 1v1 or 2v2, 500 points to respawn. Gundam Zeta can be found right at the top, underneath Mobile Suit Gundam, and above Gundam Double Zeta, which is the next portion to that series. Choosing your gear is up to you, honestly. It's a various type, so it can go for melee or range. The description for Blaze and Lightning is literally in the choice, so it's up to you, whichever one you feel comfortable with. Zeta, being a transforming Gundam, has its own mobility, and we always start off with mobility here. So what can we get into with mobility? Well, by holding boost and double tapping any direction, you can transform into the plane mode without doing anything extra, and I'll say extra in a second. You can also transform into the plane, or Wave Rider mode as it's normally called in everything else, by pressing R2. If you hold R2, he'll transform into the ship and shoot he'll shoot 2 times out of his 3 rifles, his main rifle being on the top. If you press L1 and left or right, Zeta will do a sort of like dodge move and shoot. If you press R2, he will dash at your target and slash them with his beam rifle. If you press R2, like I was saying earlier, to transform, and you hold left and right and press R2 again, he goes into this grapple move where he drills into the opponent's mobile suit and shoots them off at the end. One thing to note is that Zeta Gundam has nearly infinite ammo. So as long as you keep pressing your range attack, he will keep shooting and will manually reload his gun and then continue to fire. Keep that in mind moving forward, because you do have an advantage on the battlefield from range. If you hold or rapidly tap the range button too fast and fill up the meter, which I've done that, Zeta will throw out a beam saber and shoot the saber itself to cause a radial stun. So anything that's caught within that area will be stunned and gives you an opportunity, or your teammate, to get in some extra hits. During Zeta's melee combos, during his neutral combos, after 2 to 3 hits, if you press R2, Zeta Gundam will use his beam rifle as a saber, and he'll hit them once. If you press it again, he'll pop them up in the air, giving you more combo potential. Getting into Zeta's gear, I didn't find any extra animations. I checked, I tried, find some stuff, I looked up. I didn't see that he does anything special like some of the other Gundams that we've covered in the past, where in their burst they got extra animations and extended combos and stuff like that. Zeta's burst also doesn't lock on. And I mean lock on by putting someone into a specific animation to take the hit. Zeta does a Mega Beam Saber Slash, or Super Saber Slash, I think it was called in one form, where it doesn't lock your opponent in place, it just creates a giant beam saber and slashes down. Quick tip for that I've seen from some veterans is do it during a melee combo. Get them in the air, get them floating to where you have some extra hits, and then use your burst to finish off a melee combo with really big damage. Playing Zeta one-on-one was interesting. In the past, Zeta Gundam was considered a 400, and then they moved it to 500. I think it was before the Evo tournament last year. I couldn't find any information as to why they changed Zeta from a 400 to a 500, but I did note that some people said that they were confused by Zeta being a 500, and they didn't feel the difference between it being a 400 to a 500. For me, being new to the game, it felt like a 500. Didn't quite feel like all the other 500s, but it felt like a 500. It was powerful, it has a lot of health, has a lot of defense, and has a lot of upside to it on the battlefield. But for new players, if you're new like myself, Zeta is a great pick for you. If you want to start off with Zeta, if you think it's cool, if you like the transformation, if you've seen the anime itself, Zeta has a lot of upside. It's a 500, so a lot of people are afraid of it. It's going to draw a lot of attention. Like other 500s, you're going to be a target because you're a 500, or they may ignore you altogether and attack only your opponent. But altogether, you're in a great position to play. My advice, if you're into Zeta Gundam, is to watch some people who like to play Zeta. Zeta can be very complicated. It has a lot of different tricks to it. And even the transformation itself has its own style of gameplay. So ask some veterans if they can give you some tips. Ask them if they can show you some combos, because Zeta has a very high ceiling, very fun to play, very exciting, always different on the battlefield. Everybody has their own way of playing Zeta, and that's awesome. And for you, that gives you a lot of potential to play your way and to have fun the way you want to play Zeta. And that's it for me. As always, if you're a veteran out there and you have some tips for some beginners, some new players, leave them in the comments below. If you have a request, as like this video was, leave it in the comments below. And as always, I hope to see you guys out on the battlefield. All right, peace.